All right, all right. I think we're live. Yeah, we are live, everyone. Welcome to the Silver Fox Show. And two things that I really want to cover. Two things that I really want to cover. And we're going to be able to go over that in a little. One of the things is, of course, uh, it's sort of a meme. It's sort of a meme. It's this movie with the actress Zendaya. It's a meme that I've seen all over the place. Let's see if I can find this meme for you guys. Well, first of all, here's the movie, all right? So you can see that first, given context. Or matter of fact, let's go to the meme. This is more or less the meme, right? Because we've got this all right, we've got this weird scene here with Zendaya in this new movie about these tennis players. I guess all three of them are fucking tennis players, right? So hold on, let me just play this.
Steamy tennis love triangle. And fans have had zero chill with the Tom Holland memes as he's
Tom Holland after visiting her on set with the Tom Holland memes at his reaction to Zendaya's role in this movie.
reaction to Z's role and this movie. Tom Holland visiting her on set, Tom Holland congratulating her on the role with this pic, as well as the Spider-Man memes like this one, Tom Holland right
Yeah, so this was the meme that I've seen all over my
now. Tom Holland is
Facebook.
crying and throwing up,
Not
as
this
well
one
as a stack
particularly.
more. Obviously, fans are just having a bit of fun. This is just acting, and Tom and Z are very much in love. And I'll leave you with the line that so many people
So yeah, um, even if it is just a movie, you know, the insinuation is there that, especially by the meme that your girl is getting tag teamed in front of you. And I'm honestly, that's just some cuck shit. And I feel like Hollywood is just a very evil place, and they typically do these things to. I mean, she's not even. Look at how young she looks here. But that's besides the point. I feel like they typically do these kind of things with young Disney stars, young Nickelodeon stars. Not just with females, but also with men as well, where they have more wholesome roles starting out with as kids, and a bunch of little kids grow up watching them. And then once they become like young adults, 17, 18, 19, I would say as early as 17, even though you're not even an adult then, but as early as 17, they'll have, you know, more adult roles for somebody who started out as a child actor, and a bunch of impressionable children and kids who grew up with them will be more likely to be influenced or persuaded by the lifestyle that is being portrayed in their movies, in their choice of movies. Now, of course, that's not going to be everybody, right? It doesn't mean that. It's not to say like, oh, everybody who listens to rap music and about killing and shooting is going to fucking grab a gun and shoot somebody. No, that's not what I'm saying. But from what I've seen, these people are worshipped. They're idolized, especially by, you know, people who grew up on them but are still much younger than them. And they're going to be watching your movies and going, oh my God, that's Zendaya from some Disney movie that I last saw her in 3 years ago. Oh my God, I'm going to watch it. And they fucking watch it. maybe they're like 14, maybe they're like 13, and they watch it, and it's of course it's rated R, but it's adult themed. Everything about the movie is adult themed. And I think there was even she was doing an interview, and there was a little girl in the audience who was asking her about the Euphoria show. And mind you, Euphoria in a lot of ways is also adult themed. Not to say that, and I'm also going to probably say that it's pushing a trans agenda in its own way, and it's in a very subtle way, I think it is. But here we go, right here's the video.
Zendaya, what was it like going from Disney to this?
Please tell me you were not in here for this.
Hold on.
Zendaya, what was it like going from Disney to this?
Please tell me you were not in here for this.
The little girl asks Zendaya, please, Zendaya, tell me what it's like to go from Disney to this. Yeah, what is it like going from Disney to Euphoria, where you play pretty much a drug addict who's just confused, obnoxious, chaotic, selfish, and basically is a character that houses all these negative qualities. Basically is a character who would be a bad influence for children, young children, children who are just as curious as I am about what's it like to go from being in a wholesome role to a role where you're a complete degenerate. And look at her, she's all surprised. Oh, please tell me to get in here. How the fuck are you surprised that there's a little girl in there? That there's a little girl who probably grew up watching you and is still growing up, because obviously you're a lot older than she, and maybe she watches all your old Disney shit, and now she wants to see more Zendaya, and she's flipping through the channels because maybe her parents don't have parental guide, so maybe her parents are to be 50% at fault here. But you have to take accountability too. And understanding your audience. And understanding that your general audience is going to be watching you still. Just because you have grown up, aged, and developed doesn't mean the rest of your fan base has as well. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have a fan base of a younger generation who watch some of your old movies, your old TV shows, and are still a fan. Come on.
Your parents are responsible. Okay. Woo!
Zero accountability. Your parents are responsible. Yeah, her parents are responsible. But what about you? What about you having to take accountability? Right? You would to make this easier on yourself, you would rather disassociate yourself from the role and probably say, oh, that's not me, and that's because that's what she did before, where she basically, tried to separate herself not from the role, but from the idea that she's promoting a particular type of lifestyle. Why? Because that's not what it's about. It's about people who aren't alone. It's not about life choices. making poor life choices. It's not about that. It's about those people who do make those poor life choices, and it's to show them that, hey, you're not alone. Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Zendaya.
Come on now. And then she goes from, if you're not really familiar with Euphoria, because I'm not really too familiar with Euphoria. I've seen some of it. But I can tell you right now that based off what I watched, for the most part, her character is a degenerate. And now we see this. Okay, now we see this where it's not even just a simple fucking love triangle between tennis players. It has to have some level of degeneracy in it where it insinuates, at least to the audience in this trailer, that homegirl's being tag teamed.
Hi.
Hey.
Tashi Duncan. She's gonna turn a whole family into millionaires. She'll have a fashion line, a foundation.
You were incredible today.
thank you.
I mean, it wasn't even like tennis. It was an entirely different game.
Hey, come hang out with us later.
Want me to come tuck you in?
No, we just keep talking.
How often does this happen? Going after the same girl?
Not as often as you think.
We usually have different types.
So you're saying I should be flattered?
Aren't you everybody's type?
Come here.
Which one of
Aren't you everybody's type? Aren't you for everybody? Come on, man. What the fuck? And look at how they got this framed. You can't tell me she don't look slightly evil here. You can't tell me she don't look like a little Jezebel spirit here. You can't tell me they're not insinuating that, like, she's about to suck off both dudes or something. And I'm not saying that's in the movie. Because obviously, you know, I could be taking this completely out of context. That very last part, because I don't know if that's what this rendezvous is between the three of them. But it sure as hell insinuates that homegirl's being tag teamed. Aren't you? Hold up. Come on, son. Aren't you for everybody?
Saying I should be flattered.
Aren't you everybody's type?
Aren't you for everybody's? Aren't you everybody's type? AKA, aren't you for everybody?
Come here.
which one of us?
Bro, you should fit. This is like that situation with that guy. Was that dude? I can't remember his name. He looked bug-eyed and all that, and he was on Fresh and Fit, and there was a whole thing about damn, I can't remember his name, but there was a whole thing about how, you know, he said something very disgusting about how him and his homies used to invite, you know, like one girl over. It used to be them and a bunch of dudes, and the girl would come through and he would just whip it out, right? This is a step away from
Which
that.
one?
With both these guys in their boxers, I don't know if they're friends or brothers, they're roommates, whatever. But like, come on, man. Are you that down bad that you gotta share the same girl? Are you that down bad? Is it a I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the type of guy who would just be like, you know what? If you want her that badly, you can have her. I'm going to look somewhere else so that I can have my own. I don't need to be sharing with you. I don't even like sharing my own sandwiches with my homeboys, let alone a female. What's up with this? You telling me one of these motherfuckers is down so bad? Or is cause look, black guys like we seen like that bug-eyed dude on Fresh and Fit, they more thinking more along the lines like, yeah, dirty, crusty motherfuckers, might I add. They're thinking, yeah, we're gonna run up on that chick, right? But for these dudes, it's like they don't mind sharing. And some people say, yeah, to each their own. Bro, this is unholy. I don't give a fuck. To each his own while you fucking burn in hell. There's just something unholy about this. There's just something that it's sexual immorality packaged as a fucking love triangle. Repackaged as a love triangle. That's all it is. A sexual immorality repackaged as a love triangle. And you can see all of which they're trying to insinuate in the trailer alone. And poor Tom Holland has to deal with that bullshit. Look what he's got to deal with. Real clean cut guys. They gotta turn him into a cuckold, right? You gotta turn Spider-Man, Peter Parker, into a cuckold. This is her next role, right? This is what you think she's going to continue to play wholesome roles after doing Euphoria or after doing some shit like this? No, they're going to continue to cast her as a degenerate, while Tom Holland just has to sit there and watch from behind the camera. Look at that. Jesus. This September. Alright?
He's not in love with you.
What makes you think I want someone to be in love with me?
It's nice to see you lit up about something, even if it's...
What makes you think I want somebody to be in love with me? Insinuating I ain't give a fuck about love. I'm just here to party. I came here to play Super Smash Bros. Y'all got it twisted. I'm here for the Super Smash Bros. Not to fall in love. I'm here for the Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I heard y'all had a Nintendo.
It's my girlfriend.
Art's got his coach, Tashi Donaldson, who also is his wife.
I'm playing for both of us, Tashi. I think maybe we're disturbed by the fact that she could have been into someone like me.
When we were teenagers.
When we were teenagers.
Hey, I love you.
I know. You don't know what tennis is. It's a relationship. We went somewhere really beautiful together. I'm taking such good care of my little white boys.
I'm taking such good care of my little white boys. I heard that was memed too. I'm taking such good care of my little white boys. Wow. No, what else can I say about that?
I assume you planned this?
Not this part.
There's way more to the movie than just this horrific scene, obviously, right? There's way more to the movie than this scene. But, come on. I mean, I just feel like, ain't it bad enough where you have a partner who's got to watch you kiss one guy for a movie and maybe he just has to deal with that? But two guys, one after the other, and then both for kissing on your neck right after that. Who are they playing? Rihanna. Like, I'm perfectly good at it. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is, to me, this is ridiculous. Like, for some people, like, they might be like, yo, fuck you, James. This is my kink. This is my thing. You know, like, me and my bro, like, as soon as I get Subway, I bite into my sandwich, and he's right there to take it out of my hand, and then bite right where I bit off the sandwich. He don't even grab the other end of the sandwich. He just eats right where I left off at. We don't mind. We don't mind. And the thing is like, don't we live in a world, like, population-wise, where there's more women on the planet than there is men? And you gotta sink so low as to just, oh, I want her so bad too. Like, that's the thing, bro. It's not that scarce out here. If women were fucking scarce, I'd understand this type of behavior, maybe a little bit more. And I know it's just a movie. I know a lot of people would be like, oh, dude, it's just a movie. Bro, she's just acting. I don't know why this dude is tripping. It's just a movie. But the reason I'm making a big deal about it is, to my last point, is that a lot of young girls still watch her. Just because she's not doing Disney doesn't mean they're no longer watching Disney. Alright? It doesn't mean that they're not still watching Zendaya. This doesn't mean that they're not still following Zendaya after she finished making Disney shows, Disney movies, whatever the hell she was doing when she was a child actor. As you can see, as I just shown prior, that there's a little girl in that audience where obviously the panel is answering questions for the show Euphoria.
Zendaya, what was it like going from Disney to this?
Yeah. So shocked. So shocked. How are you so shocked? And now we go from Disney to Euphoria, and now we go, well, Zendaya, what was it like doing this scene? Right? You would think that this moment right here would be a wake-up call for you. If you were so fucking shocked, you would think that this would be the moment where you said, let me fall the fuck back. But instead, you just decide to kick up the antes and get even more raunchy with it. Oh, there's kids watching? Bet. So let's not pretend to be fucking shocked. And we can't sit here and say that some little kids aren't fucking seeing this and watching this fucking trailer. Because they're still following her. And poor Tom Holland has to deal with this in the background, even though it's a meme. But, I mean, damn, that guy's so clean cut. Wouldn't you want to be a little bit more pure for a guy who's real clean cut and he's not one of these dudes? Tom Holland would never be one of these dudes. One of these suckers. One of these simps. This is pure simpery. Don't ever scoop down to this level, men. I don't care. You can be an effeminate man, still be straight, but this is below that. This is like, whoa. Chill, fam. But, I'm off this, I don't want to go too much into this because this isn't worth so much of my time in my life. Let's just be honest. But I just wanted to cover this topic because I don't think she sees the impact that she has as an actress, as a public figure, from going to a Disney star, a child star, to this, and the impact it has on more impressionable minds. And speaking about impressionable minds, that moves us into our next subject, into our next topic. All right. Obviously, this is a person, right? As you can see in the title, woman sues doctors for removing her breast at 13 years old. Why? Why? Because she was very impressionable. Where the adults in the room should have known better, they instead pandered to all the nuance we see from the radical left. They instead pandered to the idea, to the irrational idea that if a woman removes her breast and does gender reassignment, that she can become a man. But here, let's watch.
Doctors for removing her breasts when she was just 13. This is where this madness takes you. We've got a Democrat, a lefty trans character.
So just to go back to that too, that case there is absolutely shocking. And one of
Okay, so this woman is now 18, and she's suing for something that happened when she was 13. So as you can see, she must have had the sudden realization she needed to have as an adult. That's why a lot of people are saying, leave the kids out of this, because they're not old enough to make decisions for themselves. Allow them to at least make the decision for themselves when they turn 18. And this is what happens when you make poor decisions for someone who doesn't know any fucking better. And as an adult, you should know fucking better than to remove a 13-year-old girl's fucking breast, my dude. It doesn't matter what she says she feels fucking like. And this girl's gonna say she was influenced by what she saw online and on social fucking media. And not everybody is, but obviously at 13 or 12 or 10 or even maybe since 8 years old, she was very impressionable. And we know this about fucking kids. Impressionable up until the point where she believed everything she saw online. And that's the problem. This kind of ties into what I was talking about with Zendaya, is that impressionable minds who watch her on Disney are now going to watch her new fucking tennis movie called Challenged, or whatever the fuck it's called, and they're going to fucking think, kissing two boys at the same time. I have them white boys under control. I have them in
the things
adult
we saw
college.
come out this week.
Yeah, she thought she was trans after seeing influencers online. Come on, fam. These kids don't know any better.
Is that many young people who get put onto this sort of gender transition track, they are not told that in a large number of cases people outgrow these identity issues, and so you wind up with these life-changing events happening to them, when possibly time and therapy would have also.
But let's also you walk through Sydney or Melbourne now, and you'll be confronted daily, wherever you go in the cities, with that transgender flag, the rainbow added on, not the original same-sex rainbow. This is the rainbow with that weird thing on it, which is transgender. They support this ideology, the ideology that leads a 13-year-old girl to have her breasts chopped off. That is what that flag supports. If you walk past that flag, the standard you walk past is the standard, you accept. If you walk past that flag and go, yeah, that's fine, that's great, nice flag, glad we've got it up here today, That's what you're supporting, 13-year-old girls having their breasts chopped off. I hope you're proud of yourselves because I don't share your pride in that particular ideology.
Well, I tell you, forget about legal action. To me, this is criminal. How can you inflict that on a child, a 13-year-old confused child who now, even if she detransitions and becomes a woman again, she'll never be able to breastfeed her children, if she indeed can have children, because some of these treatments leave these poor kids sterile for life. So this, to me, is criminal. This goes beyond medical malpractice. This is actually something that I would like to see people...
This is medical malpractice. Because most of it is it's very much so still experimental. And not too many studies have been done on this type of thing because it's still a pretty new idea. And it continues to be new because they continue to add new pronouns, new things. Everything is you'll never know what they're gonna bring, what they're gonna try to bring to the table next. It's completely medical malpractice. I don't know, she's saying it's something more than that, and it probably is, but that's exactly what it is. I think she hit the nail on the coffin with that one.
Prosecuted for in the courts, because I've spoken to some of these girls. I spoke to Chloe Cole, who at 15 had her healthy breasts removed. She thinks she's sterile now. She's got all sorts of medical complications for the rest of her life because these doctors have been absolutely corrupted, brainwashed by this ideology.
There's nothing more powerful
A lot of people have been corrupted and brainwashed by this ideology. A lot of people. And the sad part about it is people are really unable to see that.
Making your thing happen. Really going for it.
Unable to see it. And I think somebody said something important, something similar to what I said.
With these life-changing events happening to them, when possibly time and therapy would have also.
But let's also let you walk through Sydney or Melbourne now, and you'll be confronted daily wherever you go in the cities with that transgender flag, the rainbow added on, not the original same-sex rainbow. This is the rainbow with that weird thing chopped off. That is what that flag supports. If you walk past that flag, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. If you walk past that flag and go, that's what you're supporting, 13-year-old girls having their breasts chopped off. I hope you're proud of yourselves because I don't share your pride in that particular ideology.
Well, I tell you, forget about legal action. To me, this is criminal. How can you inflict that on a child, a 13-year-old confused child?
Possibly time and therapy would have changing events happening to them. Issues, and so you wind up with these life-changing events happening to them, when possibly time and therapy would have.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. It's life-changing. That's the biggest thing. That's what you have to understand, is that if a kid comes up to you and says, I feel like a one-eyed cyclops, you're not going to gouge one of his eyes out because you now want to have him portray an image to the rest of the world that he's a one-eyed cyclops, when in reality he's a human being with two eyes. And what happens is, when he grows up realizing, hey, I was just, being an imaginative kid, I was just, saying what I believed at the time. Obviously, my mind and my brain hadn't fully matured. It wasn't even fully developed. So, of course, I'm going to say things that any other kid would say, but to any other adult would be completely irrational. And we we as adults, it would be wrong for us to cater to I'm saying the word wrong, but irrationality, right? We cannot cater to irrationality. I don't know why I was struggling with that word so much. But if we cater to irrationality, with everything else, it creates more of like a slippery slope for people to delve deeper and deeper into more irrational ideologies, which do more harm than good. And you know, it's one of those things that if you try to combat and you try to make sense of this to the radical left themselves, or even people who are neutral, you're met with some form of hostility, if not verbal, then, you know, if not verbal, if the hostility, it's not that it's verbal, it's that you'll be vilified because you'll be then, your name will be dragged through the mud. There's like, you're besmirched. And they make sure to make you out, you'll be vilified, and they make sure to make you out as some type of foe. You're some type of, he's some type of phobic, some type of homophobe or transphobe or xenophobe, whatever they want to call you. And basically, they do everything in their power to destroy your character, right? Everything in their power to hurt your reputation. If you ever try to challenge any of their irrational and extreme ideologies in which they hold, it can't be challenged. And that kind of leads us into my, our next video, which coincides with exactly what I'm talking about.
But let's go on about the cat. The cat. What's going on in academia? You can identify as a cat now. Is this it?
Well, you can, and that's happening in schools in Australia. But it was a very interesting case in the UK this week when it came to light that a teacher attacked students who questioned this, who said you can't identify as a cat, it's not legitimate, and she called them, the student, despicable, said you should go to a different school, sent her off to be punished, and all of this was recorded. So the student was smart enough to record this interaction, so you can actually get an insight of what's happening in classrooms. Have a listen.
Is on your boy and girl today? There's no other private part. There's only two.
Gender is not linked to the parts that you were born with. Gender is about how you identify. How you identify. Yeah, but it's not an opinion that we're expressing this school. It is. No, it's not. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school.
Wow. Go to a different.
You see, this kind of goes back to what I said in my last live, where I said, those on the radical left holding extreme ideologies insert themselves in professions and institutions which give them access to kids. And like we've just seen in this video, if you're ever to challenge the irrational beliefs, they immediately go to intimidation, threatening. You either become besmirched or vilified, dragged through the mud by being some type of phobe or being called some type of phobic. So it's like, in this particular case, she's basically like, oh, if you don't like what I say, then you can go to another school. It's like in the last live where I think the teacher was talking, and in essence, she didn't say word for word. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but in essence, she's like, well, you know, you can go to Uganda because that's what, you know, that's where your beliefs are more aligned with the people in Uganda who kind of outlawed. I forgot exactly what they did in Uganda, but from my understanding, they outlawed all that LGBTQ stuff everywhere in Uganda. You're not allowed to celebrate Pride. You're not allowed to be LGBTQ. You're not allowed to anything that is LGBTQ related. I think they made pretty much, you know, illegal. I'm not. Don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it. I think that's kind of the situation. I'm not well versed on it, so don't quote me on it. But yeah, this is the craziness.
School, you're despicable. I mean, it was flat out bullying and intimidation and just idiocy from the teacher, because the teacher
but
clearly...
the kids are smarter than the teacher. The kids are now smarter than the teachers.
Well, some of them are less brainwashed, but what was important there, if you listen to the whole clip, when the teacher kept attacking the student said, my mum will back me up. My mum agrees.
Yeah.
So you need to actually have these conversations in the home to equip your children with the knowledge and to give them the confidence to stand up for themselves. Otherwise, they're just going to be brainwashed with the rest of them.
Absolutely. And we've always said the parents and grandparents have to find out what is going on in these schools, because that is a classic example of the sort of stupidity that is being inflicted on our kids, James.
Oh, well, absolutely it is. I mean, you know, the thing is, I think that every parent, every grandparent out there who's got kids in school, primary school, high school, they need to tell their kids, Reed is absolutely right, if you get called into the principal's office, if you get pulled up for respectfully making arguments that are scientifically completely valid, i.e. that your classmate here can't identify as a cat and men can't have babies, then you get in trouble. We will back you. Your parents will back you. Tell the principals, give me a call. This is the thing that has to happen. But I just think that, you know, we've seen this in so many other cases. We saw this, you know, in England and then in Canada. There were cases where Muslim kids were pushing back against a lot of the Pride Week stuff in classrooms. You've heard recordings of that. You've seen a lot of really interesting sort of fractures. And it all comes down, I think, to this real thing where people are very tolerant, but once you start, you know, forcing kids into these sorts of modes of expression and this discourse, people get very, very uncomfortable, and rightly so.
Well,
exactly. I said that in my last live. Once you involve folks' children, you're more likely to prompt an adverse response from parents and other adults who seek to protect child innocence. Once you start involving the children, all bets are off. And for people who still want to die on that hill and basically like, no, we're going to teach your children this, those are people who, in my opinion, have no boundaries. They don't know where to fucking draw the line, because when it comes to someone's child, that's where you start to draw a line, motherfucker, and you're like, I understand. I do not want to cross your boundaries. I want to show you the same type of respect I would want you to show me. So that's why they demand everything from everyone else without having to return any of the things in which they demand from other people.
It's hilarious. This we've been warning the regressive left that some of these alliances you've made are going to break apart. And one of the alliances was Islamists, not the Muslim community, but Islamists, people who are very tolerant to just gays, lesbians, not just the trans movement. And they were in that camp. And of course, they are now fracturing in dramatic manner. So we saw footage in Canada of little Muslim children stomping on the pride flags and their mums in hijabs cheering them on because they're saying, we don't want...
You see, didn't I say in my prior live as well, where once you have the Nation of Islam, once you have Islamic folks, once you have Muslim people involved in this manner, they're not going to be so nice about it. And this is a good example of the difference between how Christians choose to protest, how Christians decide to give demonstration of their refusal to accept a particular lifestyle into their into public institutions, I should say. And for people who are of the Nation of Islam, they're going to take it up a notch. They're going to turn the volume up, so to speak. Right? Whereas Christians, like I said in my last slide, will verbally bang you over the head by telling you, oh, you're going to go to hell. This is not the life that God wants us to have. This is not the life that God is choosing for you, right? You are choosing sin. You are choosing to be to live separate from God, right? You're a sinner, right? Or the worst you'll get is you're going to hell. You'll burn in hell, right? That's the worst. And Christians are called religious zealots for basically speaking facts. That's a fact, yo. You live a life separate from God, a life outside of what is holy. Guess what? That's fine. He gives you the free choice, but you don't get the last call, which is you don't decide on rather you go to heaven or hell. So, you know, that's, to me, that's just facts. We just telling you facts. It sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, this is the reality of the situation, of the reality of I would say the afterlife, right? So, but as you can see, as what she just said, they're taking the pride flag and spitting on it, right? Spitting on it. Let me get it straight. Hold up.
Their mums in hijabs cheering them on. Little Muslim children stomping on the pride flags.
Stomping and spitting on it, and their mothers are cheering them on. And yet you'll never see any of the wacky doodles make a mockery like they did in my last live, where they made a mockery of Christianity, where they made a mockery of the crucifixion of Jesus. You'll never see the wacky doodles make a mockery out of the Prophet Muhammad. I dare them to, because the second they start doing that, you can expect anybody and everybody who's nobody. Well, the reason I say that is because these people will mask up. The people from the Nation of Islam will mask up and will start finding creative ways to make sure that this entire every entire LGBTQ function is either shut down or blown the fuck up. Let's just keep it a buck. Any function that is LGBTQ related, any event or any function that is LGBTQ related, will either be one of those two things once they decide they're going to make a mockery out of the Prophet Muhammad. I'm telling you, all bets are off, but they'll never do that because they feel more comfortable mocking Christians, mocking people who are actually the most peaceful when it comes to protesting. When it comes to a peaceful demonstration, Christians got that. They're there marching and singing or preaching Bible verses. They're not taking the LGBTQ flag, stomping on it and spitting on it while their parents woo them on. And you'll and see this is the thing. This is the thing. Like the woman in the last video on my last live, she said something about and Christian hate groups are passing out pamphlets saying that, you know, we're trying to add, you know, maps to the LGBTQ, and they're just spreading hate, you know? No, what we're spreading is fucking awareness. We were at the forefront of, Christians were at the forefront of this fucking fight before Muslims and the people and the people who are of Islamic faith got involved. They only got involved like maybe 3 or 4 not even 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say like maybe yeah, like 3 or 4 years ago. But I wouldn't say I've seen them get to this point. They didn't really get into the point that they're at now with spitting on the flag and stomping on it until just this year. Because what I think is about 5 years ago, what they should have did about 5 years ago was ally themselves with Christians to push back on what, you know, this radical group of individuals were trying to shove down our throats. It needed some pushback back then. They needed to ally themselves with Christians or with anybody who had a fucking brain cell, with anybody who had common fucking sense to say no. This worldly cult is satanic in nature, it's evil in nature, and it's harming and confusing our kids.
And their mums in hijabs cheering them on because they're saying we don't want any of this in the schools. We don't want any acknowledgement of any of this. And they came out and they said, oh, we feel betrayed. Well, why do you feel betrayed? Have you never been to a Muslim majority country? Have you never been to a Muslim majority community? I mean, you should know who you're in bed with.
Well, this is the funny thing because it's
in a
you know,
alliance.
the left thought that you know, immigration was going to change the politics of the countries in which it occurred, and you know, to their favor. Well, you know, not necessarily, because of course, you know, people come from, you know, not just Islamists and people who are you know, on the far extreme end of practicing that faith, but you know, Muslims of all stripes, people from all sorts of religions. You know, they have traditional values. They believe in their religion. They believe in a traditional form of sexual morality, and they want that imparted to their kids. This is one of the reasons why New South Wales, certainly, I don't know what it's like in Victoria, but you know, the Catholic schools, the low-fee Catholic schools, do very, very well with migrant communities of all faiths because they can afford to get their kids out of the public school system, where a lot of this stuff is really just, you know, turned up to 11.
Well, some of the private schools, though, are
the private schools are the worst. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's not, you know, if you take a kid to an independent school, don't presume that they're not going to be brainwashed in this manner. But you're so right, James. I mean, the left has been broadly right. Migrant communities have.
Yeah, and why are kids going to be brainwashed just by going to school? Because the individuals on the radical left who hold extreme ideologies always insert themselves into professions and institutions which give them access to kids. Time and time and time again. So you can't say that these people aren't groomers when they constantly make an effort and an attempt to be around children. How could they not see themselves as groomers at that point? And that's the thing, man. It should not get to a point where parents are telling you to stop doing what you're doing and you're still doing it. Because there's got to be an equal level of respect. And we're not seeing that from people on the far left. They're not giving other people an equal level of respect. The same level of respect they're asking for, they're not giving it. And now, everything, all that crazy talk that they like, oh, we're being attacked left and right. Yeah, now the attack is beginning left and right for people who hold extreme ideologies on the far left. Because you're not able to take a step back and say, we apologize. We took shit way too fucking far. But they would rather die on that hill. They would rather die on that hill. They would rather die on the hill that promotes child grooming, promiscuity, mental illness, mental disorders, gender dysphoria. That's the hill that they would rather die on.
Overwhelmingly supported leftist parties, but this is where there's an enormous opportunity for conservatives, and it's an opportunity that's been seized upon in some places, not in Australia by any means, that, yes, most migrants are socially conservative.
But
they do not want this stuff fed to their children.
As the Fireball master distiller, I had the genius idea of aging Fireball whiskey in premium bourbon.
My bad for the commercials, y'all. But yeah, that's pretty much, you know, the topics of which that, you know, I really wanted to kind of cover for today. I'm not really sure, because the rest would kind of be like I'm going off the top of the head. I'm freestyling at this point on topics. But, you know, I think it kind of, this particular live kind of goes in tandem, it kind of works in tandem with my last live, where I was talking about, you know, the kids, them forcing this on kids. And, you know, that audio, I'm not sure if you guys could hear the audio, but I'm going to play the audio back because, like I said, the people on the radical left who hold these extreme ideologies put themselves in professions and institutions in which gives them access to kids. And this right here, this audio, is a perfect example.
There's no other private part. There's only two. And a girl today. There's no other private part. There's only two.
Gender is not linked to the parts that you were born with. Gender is about how you identify. How you identify. It's not an opinion that we express in this school. It is. No, it's not. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school, she says. The kid has more sense than the fucking teacher. The mental patients are running the asylum. That's what's so scary about all of this. You're in the wrong, even if you're right. Because right is wrong and wrong is right. They've completely inverted everything. It's like that Bible verse. I think about that Bible verse where it says, woe unto those who call evil good and good evil. That's exactly what's happening in the world today. and I'll be glad to share plenty more examples of that in some following lives. But that is it for today, folks. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in. If not now, at a later point in time. Again, it's the Silver Fox Show. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's always love. Protect your kids, man. Protect your kids. Protect your mind. You know, protect their minds.